All the honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Qudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. And I'm going to go in on Proverbs, the 31st chapter. And this is dealing with, it's twofold. It's talking about a woman, but it's actually talking about the woman it's actually speaking about is Sophia, which is the Greek name for wisdom. Okay. So it's actually talking about wisdom. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and break this down without further ado, starting at the top. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. Oh, and by the way, I looked up King Lemuel, and if you Google that, it's not very certain. They're not certain on who that is. Some suggest that it's another name that Bathsheba called King Solomon. All right. So, and that was to me the most logic out of the choices that they gave you when I Googled it. But, just to be transparent, we don't know who Lemuel is exactly. But like I said, the most logical one description was another name that Bathsheba, which was King Solomon's mother, had given him. Okay. So it says, what, my son, and what, the son of my womb, and what, the son of my vows. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Okay. Because women can destroy men, okay? They have that power. Women are powerful, especially in this day and age where you got women here in Babylon and they're just wrecking men's lives. And they, brothers who are in this ministry, you should be well aware of the perils that comes with dealing with these crazy ass women, So you never want to give your strength unto these women. All right. And that's actually advice that the mother taught Lemuel. And again, we're going to use it as another name which Bathsheba called King Solomon. All right. And I looked up that word meaning for Lemuel. It says, let's look it up again. I think it's with devoted to Yahweh. That's the meaning of that name. Devoted to Yahweh or belonging to Yahweh. All right. So that's another clue that more than likely was being a reference to King Solomon. Okay. So let's keep reading. It says, it is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink. And we know that the wine is a metaphor for doctrines, okay? So the king, especially the king of Israel, he should be in the true doctrine, right? Which is this doctrine that we teach. All right? Strong drink, that's these are all doctrines. Like an example of strong drink would be this pagan Christianity. Our people are drunk off of pagan Christianity, which is likened into a strong drink, okay? Meaning it's a false philosophy. But it's strong, because it has our people in delusion. We always say drunk off the Babylonian juice, okay? Verse 5, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Right, so if you're under the influence of strong drink, or aka a false doctrine, or a wrong philosophy, then guess what? You're going to forget the laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such are as appointed to destruction. Right. So the ones who are pointed to destruction are going to be the ones who are influenced off that strong drink. They're not in the true doctrine. They don't follow the true teachers. You see? It says, open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and the needy. And who's the poor and the needy? The Israelites. Okay? It says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Okay? And this is twofold. All right? Because if you can find a virtuous woman, she is going to be worth more than rubies. But the problem is actually finding that virtuous woman in a place like Babylon, America. Okay? So this virtuous woman is really dealing with wisdom. Okay? Sophia in the Greek. We always tell you wisdom is likened unto a woman. But the word for wisdom in the Greek tongue, in the Greek language, is Sophia. It says, the heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. Right, and that's the elect. We trust in wisdom, right? Does it not tell us in Isaiah 33? We always bring this out. Isaiah 33:6, it tells you, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure, you see. So it's, wisdom is going to bring that stability. We trust in wisdom. We trust in this Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, who has, enabled us to have that wisdom, right? It says, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Yeah, and that's twofold. You can find a virtuous woman, but again, this day and age, it's going to be hard for that that virtuous woman to be found in this wicked ass place where these women are taught. They're not taught the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. They're not being led by righteous men. You have the elect who are coming into this truth and repenting, coming into the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. But, not all of us have women. We may have used to have women, but in a lot of cases, this truth has, basically protected us from certain women, or we've, see, phone chimed on that. This truth has maybe, I know in my case, my woman, she had a problem with this ministry. She had a problem with the truth. There were several things. The woman that I was dealing with when I first came into truth, at the end of the day, this was just too much for her. And I'm not going to get into details, but brothers who have been in my shoes or in those shoes, they know what I'm talking about. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. Okay, so what's the meat? The meat is this truth. So we are constantly feeding the flock, all right? And portion to her maidens. In Revelation 14, it likens us unto virgins, right? The men in this ministry. And we're virgins. Why? Because we are... let's read. We'll start at 3. Because let's read it. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the 4 beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. Okay? So another word for virgin is maiden. All right, and that's why I came to this precept. It says, these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. We follow Yahushua wherever he goes in the Spirit. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High Yahweh and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of Yahweh. Okay, so there's no guile, there's no deception, there's no trickery when we teach this ministry, when we teach this truth, when we stay on point in the doctrine, right? But guess what? We're not defiled with women, for they are virgins. It doesn't mean that we never had, enjoyed a woman, sexually. No, it means that we weren't defiled by those women, I told you that women and wine is a metaphor for doctrine. So it says where they are virgins, okay? So we're considered virgins, pure, when it comes to this ministry, maidens. That's why when we go to Proverbs 31, let's go back to that. It says, she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. All right, and so those maidens are those virgins, those elect men. All right, we're likened unto virgins because why? We're pure, and what makes us pure is the doctrine. We don't have no deception. We don't have no gimmicks. We don't have no guile, which is trickery when we teach. Right. In verse 16, she considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. Okay. So who's the she? Is that wise wife, that wise the woman, the virtuous, maiden, right? And this is it. What's the field? The field is the ministry. All right. And we go all in on it, right? We go all in on the ministry. We literally, those who are sincere, those who have been a part of this ministry, or and are sincere, guess what? You'll lay your life on the line for this ministry, for this truth, for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. And why? Because this knowledge and this ministry is likened unto light, right? Yahweh Shai, he is the light of the world, right? So we are following in his footsteps as the teachers of the true doctrine. We've been given this light, enabled. This light has been activated by Yahweh Shai, and it's been activated through us by way of Yahweh Shai. Okay. So that's why it says her candle goeth not out by night, because we are the light in the darkness, in this dark ass world. The true light, well, that word, it means Illuminati, right? It means the light bearers. The men who are teaching this truth are the true Illuminati, right? We're the Illuminati, which that word means light bearer, right? Or the enlightened ones. And who are the enlightened ones? Who are the ones that hold the light? It's the prophets. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. Going into the working, the grind, doing the work, right? She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yeah, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. And who does that? I told you, the poor represents the Israelites, because our people are poor in the spirit. They don't have an understanding of the truth, right? They've been taught lies. They've inherited lies. It says our fathers have inherited lies. That's what the scriptures say. So now we're in a time of light. That is, the Holy Spirit is basically, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai has put their spirits on us. So now we have the light, and we're that light in this dark ass world. Okay. Everybody else is slumbering. It says they're in gross darkness. Let's get that real quick. I think that's in Isaiah. I could be wrong. Let's see. Oh, come on, Isaiah. See? Spirits. When the Spirit's on, it's on, man. This is Isaiah 60 and 2. It says, actually, I'll start at 1. Isaiah 60 and 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. You see that? So the light is on who? The men. Those maidens, these virgins that are pure. We represent pureness, okay? It doesn't mean we never had sex with a woman. It represents we are pure in the doctrine. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to thy brightness of thy rising. You see? And the Gentiles is talking about right here are the Gentiles of the Israelites, all right? Because you have the heathen Gentiles, and then you have the Gentiles of our own people, of our brethren. And this is talking about the Gentiles of the Israelites, so just Gentiles of Israel. Because the heathen nations, they are going to deny the light, right? They're not going to come to the light, okay? Because you have to understand this truth, this ministry condemns the heathen. So this excludes these heathen nations, these people who are, not of the tribes of Israel. They automatically, by default, they are cut off from this light. Okay, because like I say, the light, meaning the understanding and the knowledge. When you understand these scriptures, you understand that this is only for the Israelites. So it's a direct cut, and it's a direct denial, right, of the heathen. All right, the heathen are not going to. Why would they? If they really understood this, truly understood this light, this knowledge, they would. That's why they despise us. Okay, because if they come into the truth, the true understanding, they're going to realize like, yo, this ain't for them. All right, but that's a whole nother topic, whole nother lesson. Let's get back to Proverbs 31. And it says in verse 21, she is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. All right. And scarlet is I believe that's an expensive linen. Yeah, scarlet was a type of fine and expensive woolen cloth. Okay, so and that's the way let me read that again. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, and for all her household are clothed with scarlet. So it's talking about the prophets. We have those magnificent garments on. Scarlet is likened unto it's an expensive woolen cloth, right? So, it'd be like, like today, you can compare like you wearing some Air Jordans compared to some fucking Pro Wings or some off name brand shoes. I'm using shoes as an example, right? Just so you can understand. But if you had scarlet, in the ancient world, hey, that was like an expensive garment, you see? So it shows you, and that's what we're doing when we are in this truth. We're actually, it's likened into an expensive garment, right? It's you have people who are in the wrong garment, like it tells you in the book of Matthew. Let's get that real quick. Matthew 22:11 says, "And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of the teeth." Okay? So the point is if you're coming in the wrong spirit, aka the wrong garment, you're going to be cut off, okay? Even if you're an Israelite, right? So that's when we go to Proverbs 31. That garment we're wearing is expensive. You can't and not anybody can just have an expensive garment. Not anybody is going to be wearing the correct garment, on the day of, reckoning, okay? Which is the day of wrath, the day of Yahweh Bashim Shai. You coming in the wrong spirit, also known as the wrong garment. You're wearing the wrong garment. You're teaching the gospel wrong. You're teaching the ministry wrong. Well, guess what? You're going to be casted away. And like I just read, it says, She maketh herself coverings of tapestry.
She maketh herself
She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. Okay? So, who's in the gates? The prophets are in the gates. The gates in the ancient time would be, they would be the entrances of the cities. And that's where, that's why we prophesy in the chief place of concourse. Okay? Because we're in the middle of the assembly of people, right? In front of either a government building or an official building of the city. And that's why it says her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. You see? It says she maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. The fine, this is a metaphor again right here. All right? Because the fine linen would be likened unto the truth, and we don't sell it, but we're out there in the chief place of concourse. A chief place of concourse, there would be markets and businesses and merchandise, but we're in the gates doing this ministry. Let me grab that real quick, by the way. Let me see. What is it? Proverbs, is it 20? It might be in Psalms. I might be tripping. Let me see. Okay. Proverbs 1 and 21. It says wisdom, I'll start at 20. Proverbs 1 and 20. Wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets, right, in the gates. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long will ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. You see? So the ones who are crying, the wisdom, which is Sophia, that's what it says, she crieth in the chief place of concourse. And we know the prophets are men. So this is talking about the wisdom. We have that wisdom. We have that Sophia. We are in the openings in the gates, in the chief place of concourse. And that's why, it's that's what that marketplace is, that concourse. When you go to that word concourse, let's get this. Concourse definition. See, it says, a large open area inside or in front of a public building, as in an airport or a train station, an entrance, a foyer, a lobby, a plaza. You see, and what do they do in plazas? They sell things. So we're out there, we're out there teaching, all right? When we don't put a price on the ministry. But remember, it's more valuable than rubies, like we read earlier. Okay? She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Right, you can't eat the bread of idleness when you're in this ministry. Right, you can't be idle. We were talking about that at camp yesterday. We always talk about how you have to be on fire. You can't be lukewarm. You have to be hot or cold, which the men who are likened unto these virgins, the men who hold this truth, this knowledge, this wisdom, we are on fire for this ministry. We're on fire for Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai, okay? And the phone chimed on that. Her children, which in the KJV book, this would actually say sons, but it says her sons arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. And again, the daughters is actually, what excels them all is this Sophia, the wisdom, the truth. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth Yahweh, she shall be praised. Okay, and this goes back to kind of that twofold, where it could be talking about an actual woman. But guess what? In Babylon, it's going to be hard to find a woman who's totally virtuous. That's why this is really talking about wisdom. Because even King Solomon, he said with his own mouth that, there was not, he couldn't find one woman out of 1,000 that was like basically righteous or could understand this truth. And see, this is the part where these women, they get offended, right? A woman hears that statement and we're like, oh, well, the Lord's dealing with me. You know, God loves me. He's dealing with me. Well, in all honesty, if you don't come underneath a man of Yahweh Hashem Yoshai, then the Most High is not dealing with you as a woman. You know, you need to be under, you women, you need to be coming under and repenting, and you better hope that you have a man of understanding, a man who Yahweh Hashem Yoshai is dealing with. Because just like we are likened into those maidens and those virgins, we don't have a direct connection to Yahweh. That's why we have to go through Yahweh Shai, the husbandman. In the same fashion, you women, you don't have no connection, direct connection to the Most High. Excuse me. See, the phone chimed on that. You don't have no direct connection to the Most High Yahweh or Yahweh Shai. You have to go through your man, your husband. Okay? And if you can't receive that, guess what? You're not of the elect. You're not meek. Because that's the truth of the matter. Okay? Verse 31. Give her of the fruit of her hands and let her own works praise her in the gates. Okay? So if we're speaking about, this is actually talking about wisdom, right? And whose works are praised in her in the gates? The elect, the men, the teachers, the prophets, the 144,000. We are praising wisdom in the gates. And if you want to make this twofold, you know, if you want to be a woman praising in the gates, well, listen, you have to come underneath that righteous man, that elect man. Okay? So, you know, I just wanted to go through Proverbs 31. I was inspired. It kind of, the way the lessons are, you know, sometimes they come to you in a different fashion. I just happened to be looking at a few things on the internet, and the Proverbs 31 popped up. So I started to read it, and then lo and behold, I did my lesson tonight on that. So, you know, I hope the lesson was edifying to the elect. But with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. A shalom to the elect. Shalom.